What would be especially useful for you in our conversation today?
I think just like learning how to tailor the language of my personal statement to make it most appealing to law school admissions, because I feel like I don't have the most personally unique story. So I want to know how to like differentiate myself from other people.
Sure. Well, why don't you tell me a little bit about your personal statement as it is right now?
Yeah. So basically it kind of highlights my mother's story as a refugee from Iran. And kind of how that inspired me to pursue a career in immigration law and social justice advocacy and other stuff like that.
Okay. Now, I haven't seen the statement, but my guess is that a statement like this would run the risk of talking too much about your mother and not enough about you.
Yeah. Yeah, I tried my best to make sure only the first paragraph was about my mom and everything else was about me. But I thought like a necessary introduction like about her would be like a good hook to captivate the interest. But then like afterwards, like starting to like talk about like why that's inspired me, what I've done with that inspiration and so forth.
Okay. So why don't you tell me a little bit about where you took it after that initial paragraph?
Yeah. So I basically talked about like my mom was a refugee. She came here and then it wasn't until she got married that she was able to kind of solidify a life for herself. And once I came, Iranian women are typically subject to domesticity and how like it's not really encouraged for us to go out and like get a career and support ourselves and stuff like that. So I talked about how I try to not follow the cultural norms and kind of make my own path, how that's caused some tension within my own life and my own familial relations. And despite that, what my goals are, if I want to start a nonprofit one day, pursue a career in legal advocacy and stuff like that.
Okay. So what is one example of a time where you broke away from the family, established yourself independently, and created some of that tension as a result?
My decision to go to law school, because I was just told to get a bachelor degree, find a man, get married, and that's it. And like raise kids. But I said, no, I want to pursue higher education. Like if marriage can wait, like I have my whole life ahead of me and I want to like support myself first. And that caused tension within some male figures in my family.
Sure. So what's the resolution of that tension in this essay?
Just that I'm doing what I want and I'm still pursuing what I want and I'm just going to do me.
I hear you. And that's powerful in some ways, but in other regards, I wonder if a law school might hear that and say, she is doing this without the support of her family, and law school is a very difficult undertaking. Mm-hmm. And obviously, you could get loans for law school if you need to, but there are other kinds of support you might want from your family aside from simply monetary support.
Mm-hmm.
So I wonder if there's a way that you could address that. Like you said, you're just going ahead and doing this anyway. Where are you with your parents right now? Are they pissed off at you? Are they not understanding? Or have they resigned themselves to it? Or did you make arguments in favor of this that gave them at least some reason to begrudgingly accept the decision?
Yeah, I mean, like the women in my family support me. So like I have that support. There's just like a couple members who don't. And like it's the reason why I've decided to take a gap year to like work a little bit, get a job, support, like make some sort of living for now until I can move on to that next step.
Mm. Interesting. Okay. So I think this could be an okay personal statement topic, but my intuition is telling me that you might want to put this in the category of a diversity statement.
Mm-hmm.
And you could choose something else to be your primary personal statement. Because this topic speaks to unique cultural background and clashing of cultures in a way.
Mm-hmm.
But as I said, I do have some concerns about law school admissions, thinking that you don't have support of your family and that this is a long road to go without total support. And that could lead you to face some unnecessary obstacles along the way that could hinder your progress. And I wouldn't want them to get too wrapped up going down that path. So I'd want you to tie that up neatly with a bow and show in some way how it has been largely resolved, aside from some, let's say, potentially some elderly, more distant relative who is not a major player in your day-to-day life. Like, let's say if your father is totally against this, that might be a long road the next couple of years. Every time you see him, he's like pissed at you for going to law school. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Now, how does this strike you, the idea of changing it in the way I've mentioned?
I mean, I would like a more positive story. The things that I don't really have anything like super special to write about. So like, this was the most like unique thing I could think about myself. Like everything else, like I'm the typical UCLA student. So it's just like goes to class, runs a couple clubs, that's it. So, and like most of my involvements are pretty political, and I fear mentioning them because I feel like I don't know who's reading my paper, and you never know where they lie in the political aisle, and I don't want to isolate the person reading my paper. So that's the reason why like I don't mention it.
I understand that, but are you mentioning those on your personal on your resume?
I don't even mention them on my resume because I just feel like people might not agree with it. I
understand that. Yeah, if it's especially partisan, you might want to steer clear just to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, I wouldn't want you to lose out on getting credit for any of those if you've done something particularly noteworthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because like I'm president of a few clubs on campus, and like a lot of them are about like Israel advocacy and stuff like that. And you never know who's reading the paper. So like, and I don't like, it's very difficult to discuss. And I really don't know even how to touch upon it in my paper.
Yeah, it's a tricky one. Politics and religion are not easy topics to discuss.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand your reasons for wanting to steer clear of them. And I think that you can. I think there's probably something you can talk about in your extracurriculars or previous career or internship experience that might make good fodder for a separate personal statement. Does anything come to mind aside from the Israel stuff specifically?
Not really. I mean, like, I feel like I do what every pre-law student does. Like, I go to school, I get good grades. I don't have like a gut-wrenching story. I haven't like, besides this one issue with like my dad, I have no adversity in my life. I've lived a really good life. So it's just like, I don't know exactly what to mention. Other than the fact like I'm president of Student Supporting Israel at UCLA, and I'm president of like 2 other clubs, but like they're just Jewish clubs. Like they're not like a huge deal. So I don't know exactly how to make myself seem super appealing to like the legal world. Like the Israel advocacy world, I'm super appealing, but like the legal world, like I don't really see how appealing I am. So I want to like make myself stand out, but like, it's just the same like story that I hear like everybody say.
What about any particular clubs or classes that you took with professors who made a significant impact on you, or any projects you did in that context?
They're mostly for my Israel studies classes. So again, I really hesitate even mentioning it because it's such a polarizing topic that like all of my like skills and things all come from my background in Israel education, Israel advocacy. Like that's what makes me unique. But I feel like that uniqueness is not really championed in some schools, and I never know who's going to be reading it.
Of course. And I ultimately want you to submit an application that you feel comfortable with. But if your Israel advocacy is such a big part of your background and your identity as you describe it to be,
mm-hmm.
It might be worth considering to make it a focal point of your personal statement. And as long as you present it in an objective way, rather than that you're lobbying the admission office to feel a certain way about it, I would give them more credit and trust that they will be able to look at it fairly impartially. And keep in mind that also there's rarely one single person reading it.
Mm-hmm.
And so if it struck someone the wrong way, the other person reading it might be able to balance things out a little bit. And you might also want to say, if someplace is so contrary to your opinions that they wouldn't take you as a result of it, maybe you don't want to go there anyway.
That's a true point. Yeah.
And given all the activities that you describe, I would imagine there's something there, especially with the advocacy side of things, that could be political or legal in some way.
Mm-hmm.
Something you've addressed during your time in those activities.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, I know that's what makes me unique. And like, I know through that I've gotten a lot of experience and stuff like that. And I want to mention it so bad, because I know I could write a kick-ass personal statement if it was about that. And like, I wouldn't have to focus on my mother's story. I wouldn't have to make it so depressing about my dad and stuff like that. So I want to do it so badly, but like, it's just like the fear of getting like rejected just because of like, maybe the admissions team just doesn't agree with the work I've done. And they're like, oh, she's going to be super polarizing, controversial. We don't want her. So it's a huge fear I have with the whole law school admissions process.
I hear you. No, it's real. It's hard to be open and authentic in that way, but I would suggest you give it a try. I've met with many admission officers. I speak with them all the time, and I don't get the sense that they're so quick to judge and condemn someone for expressing an opinion that they themselves might personally disagree with. That's not what they're there to do. And they're there to evaluate you more objectively than that. And they're professionals. They're not looking to be spiteful or vindictive for someone holding a different opinion. And there are plenty of people who are on both sides of the aisle, just red, blue, liberal, conservative, who are writing, who have backgrounds that address very polarizing topics, things like abortion, things like capital punishment, things like gay marriage that many people have strong opinions on. But law schools are looking to evaluate your ability to succeed in law school itself. I know that you're going down a career path that requires the use of the legal degree. They're not looking to necessarily evaluate you on some controversial topic. But if you could write a kick-ass essay on this, I would encourage you to give it a try. And of course, have people read it over and give you feedback on if it's handling your skill set and your background in a way that will ultimately serve you in the admission process.
Okay. I can definitely revise and add to it and change it up. And now I'll have also something for diversity statements. So I guess it's two birds with one stone. So
I think it's great. I think you've got the makings of several different essay topics that could be good here.
Awesome. Great. Thanks. But yeah, that was just my primary concern. And like, now that I'm taking a gap year, I have a lot of time to kind of figure it out. But that was just the main thing, is just like structuring my statement to make me sound unique. And like, not just like every single person who's also interned at a law firm, who's also gone to UCLA, who's also done this. Like, I want to make sure that like I'm different than most applicants. So, yeah.
Well, it certainly sounds like you are, and both the personal statement and the diversity statement could be killer for you. So yeah, give them both a stab and let me know how it goes.
Okay. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
My pleasure, Jessica. Before we sign off, what would you say is the biggest insight you got from our call today?
Definitely the impact that your personal statement makes on people, like not leaving such a sour taste in someone's like mouth after they read it, such as like the kind of depressing nature of my first one, and how it's going to lead the admissions people to think about you and like the judgments that they're going to draw from you after reading it, like if you cannot support yourself through law school and stuff like that. So definitely learning the impact and like the afterthoughts that people are going to have after reading your personal statement.
Great. Well, please keep in touch and let me know if I can help in any way as you move forward with these.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for your help.
Thanks for tuning into the show. Please subscribe if you haven't done so already to be notified of new episodes as I release them. And feel free to reach out if you need anything at all as you move forward with your prep. I'm happy to help however I can. In the meantime, I'll wish you all the best and take care.